Hey there folks, Chumpask here bringing another audio commentary, and today we have another Lucifer game. Actually, we had one last time as well, and this time he will be playing against an elf who is apparently Elegant from clan Tyloo. We're obviously a huge clan these days. They came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they have some of the biggest players. They have TH, they have Infi, they have Nicker, they have just so many fantastic players, and it looks like this could be an undead versus elf on Twisted Meadows, and this is actually the second game in a row we've had Lucifer on Twisted Meadows. It'll be interesting to see how he wants to play it. One interesting thing we saw from the start here from him is that he built all three of these buildings, the altar, the crypt, and the ziggurat, before producing his first acolyte, which is obviously sort of uncommon, but it's sort of been actually seeing a bit of a resurgence, which is quite odd that Lucifer's doing it, considering how old school a player he is. But it's a really interesting strategy to see, especially on this map, because it is very useful to get out and try and do that harassment, especially here, where it's not too far distance. You can get your Death Knight there in time, as long as you do have that early enough altar fit being built, and it looks like we will be having at least a ghoul opening, which is so standard against elf. Maybe we'll be seeing a bit more of a transition into fiends later on, but certainly a ghoul opening is just so strong, because no one wants to go for huntresses versus undead, because then they can just get some gargoyles and you lose. So really you have to build archers, which are just so hard countered by a bunch of ghouls, especially if you have some sort of unholy aura as well to go with them, just to chase them down that much quicker. And it looks like we will have a bit of scouting here, and it looks like no scouting actually from Lucifer, so he won't know where to send his Death Knight when it pops out, so maybe he's actually going to do a bit of creeping. It'll be interesting to see, or maybe he's about to do some scouting right about now. And another interesting thing to see will be whether or not he chooses to get backpack. Obviously you don't need to get this early, because you can just pick something up with your Death Knight, but as it gets a bit later on, it does get quite interesting to see, especially on these big maps. We saw him go for it last game, and it did work out pretty well for him, so it'll be interesting as I say, whether or not he chooses to get it. Death Knight does now pop out. The creeping already underway for Elegant here, who's now going to be taking out this Overseer, probably in time. Looks like this one ghoul will go out to scout, and this Death Knight, because we have had this ghoul scouting to the left, Lucifer knows he just needs to go up, and then he's running into the middle, and then as soon as he scouts with this ghoul, the creeping that's going on here, he can run back, turn a bit backwards, and he gets there as quickly as possible. So really nice scout pattern there. Coil goes off to immediately steal that first creep. Fantastic timing there by Lucifer. That call came out of absolutely nowhere. Brings up some skeletons now. We'll be trying to take out that wisp, and the wisp immediately detonates, take out the two skeletons. Nice play there by Elegant, and it looks like this oh, so close, down to 10 hit points, but isn't stolen. And so looks like Elegant gets that second creep kill, and is still now is actually now very close to level 2 on his Warden. Meanwhile, the Stefan actually getting a bit of a pathing block by this Ancient of War, because Lucifer clearly isn't paying attention. Meanwhile, one Shadow Strike has gone off on that one ghoul, and looks like this one ghoul might well go down. Another Shadow Strike would definitely take it out, but it might not even be necessary. Looks like that Warden will be able to catch up in time, and be interesting to see whether or not the Warden chooses a second skill, or just decides to stay with nothing, so that she can threaten to get blinked or fan of knives, depending as of what's necessary. It looks like we don't have a skill being chosen yet, and no observers actually on this game, so I can't go to any other point of view, unfortunately. Nice detonate. They're taking out some mana from the Death Knight, as well as one skeleton. Obviously it's not worth it just to take out one skeleton, but just to get rid of the mana of that Death Knight can be pretty useful. We do have the teching now started for Elegant, so it's very important that he doesn't lose too many wisps. And we do have one wisp actually running in here just to do a bit of scouting. Looks like it might actually be taken out by Lucifer, but nice reaction time there. This Death Knight now running behind the shop. Is he going to buy boots or something? I'm not sure why he would run behind otherwise. Oh, maybe the boots were stolen there by Elegant, so now this Death Knight in a lot of trouble, has been slowed as well by the Shadow Strikes. Really in a lot of trouble straight off the bat here. Not even at level 2, but he must have his goals coming down. Yes, here they are here, and they might be able to get the surround on the Warden. No, Warden reacts too quickly, and it looks like this Death Knight will live to fight another day. Ooh, nice attempt to the surround there, but that Warden just manages to get out before the trap is closed, and it looks like we will be having this Warden still with no level 2 skill chosen, you'll notice. And so what that means is that if she does get surrounded, she can choose blink. Otherwise, Fan of Knives is just so useful. It looks like, oh, another nice attempt at a surround there. Nice multitasking here by Lucifer, simultaneously getting his skeletons and Death Knight to focus down one archer, while keeping the Warden away just by warding him off. And he does eventually use a coil to take out that one archer, and it's surprising really decided to do that. But I guess he doesn't really have a need for his coil at the moment, but it's not like he's being mana burnt or anything. He can just save up a bit of mana, but certainly it's nice to get rid of that one archer. It is going to force Elegant to build more, and really you can't stop building archers in this matchup early on, like you can do versus Orc or versus human, or even occasionally versus elf. It looks like we will be having this one archer eventually being able to get back home, but it looks like so many ghouls now in the base of Elegant. A nice moonwall usage there. He's going to try and cycle them in and out of the gold mine. Maybe no. It looks like he's being forced to run them away. Hunter's Hall just being completed now, so maybe we'll be seeing at least one ancient protector going up, and these wisps not harvesting lumber, and more importantly are slowly going down and wasting moonwall juice. But it looks like this warden has now been surrounded, has chosen a skill now, so maybe that was blink. Uses hide, is dusted, does need to blink away. Very, very nice, forcing Lucifer to waste charge of his dust, but still very, very bad to lose, or to have to choose blink. Certainly blink is a good skill, but having to use it as well, that's 50 mana, and that's really, you don't want to be using that, because Elegant is now running a bit low on moon juice, as well as night is halfway over, so really it could be a difficult next 18 hours for him, or game hours at least. And it looks like we do have an item being dropped here, Boots of Speed being dropped. I guess it must have been Lucifer just bought that. I'm not sure why he dropped it. Maybe he was dropping it in anticipation of picking up a second hero, probably a Naga for him, and meanwhile we'll probably be seeing something like a Panda coming out here for Elegant, though certainly other possibilities are possible, or are available to him, and he doesn't want to pick up anything though. This Naga now being picked up for Lucifer, who obviously can slow down any hero that pops out, and really it looks like we do have, a Naga being chosen. Interesting choice here for Elegant. It's a good second choice in some situations, but just the problem with it is that occasionally it just really, really doesn't work out for you. If it just gets caught out a couple too many times, it doesn't get enough experience, it just becomes fodder basically, and especially against a Naga who can slow you down. A Death Knight, once he gets that level 2 aura and ghouls, is just such an easy way to try and get a surround here off on a hero. And looks like we do have a couple hidden archers here. Looks like Elegant actually realized that they were there and decided just to keep them hidden. Good choice there, and it looks like Lucifer didn't notice the weird pathing, and so didn't manage to kill them. It looks like the Ancient of Wonders will go down. Ancient Protector going up as well. One Ancient of Lore has gone up, so we'll probably be seeing some Dryads. No tier 3 tech yet for Elegant, and lots of archers now going down, and this is a strong attack here by Lucifer. But now that this Naga's gotten behind the Ancient of War, I think Lucifer's attack is going to be somewhat neutered. Now maybe he's going to be able to do a bit more damage to this ward, but he needs to be very, very careful with his own Naga, who can be slowed and get Shadow Strike as well on him. This Naga doesn't have a TP, so will be, or might be passed on, or just might be sacrificed here, because this Naga looks like he might well now go down. Yes, he does go down, and that Naga now going to have to be revived. Only level 1, but still not too good for Lucifer there. He did a good bit of damage, but I think he could have pulled out a bit earlier there, and Lucifer obviously didn't want to use his TP to save his second hero, which was only level 1. And it looks like we will have Lucifer losing one ghoul here as well. Lots of slowing power here between the Shadow Strike, the Dryad slowing attack, and the Naga having a slowing attack as well. So really Lucifer needs to be very, very careful, especially considering he doesn't have level 2 on this Death Knight yet, and that Unholy Aura is just so important for him. And we do have tier 3 tech now going on, so probably going to see a fast Lich, although certainly other things are possible. You could see a Dark Ranger maybe, although it's a bit low health. I think a Lich is probably most likely the reason to get this fast tier 3. And the Slaughterhouse now being put down, so we will be seeing some statues. Maybe some, actually you can pretty much get anything from a Slaughterhouse against an elf going this build, because obviously Abominations are fantastic against Dryads, and Meat Wagons, if you have enough protection, then they're good as well. And now that we have a couple of Fiends coming out as well, that will be a very, very useful meat shield for Meat Wagons, if that's what Lucifer wants to get. This Warden now is level 2, Naga level 1, and I think it's still 1-1 for Lucifer, who, let's just give it a check. Yes, it is still 1-1 for him, but he's just, he's getting pretty close now to that level 2, and really should just do some small creeping. Maybe if he crept out this camp just to get that level 2 was so important, especially considering it would heal up his Death Knight a fair bit as well, just with that Unholy Aura over time. And it looks like this one ghoul gets Shadow Struck, but he looks like he was called up eventually, and so will stay alive. And it looks like this one archer now actually going to go down. Ooh, he might be sacrificed to the creeps. Yes, he will. Very, very nice there by Elegant, keeping that alive. Or not keeping alive, but denying the experience. And Black Citadel has now finished for Lucifer, who's putting out another Ziggurat. Not yet getting a third hero. Actually, he's really low on money. He didn't just buy a hero. No, he didn't. So he's actually really, really low on money. It's going to take him a while to actually save up to buy that third hero, probably a Lich, as I say, and when he does that, he can then pick up an orb on that Lich as well, because really you can't have the orb on the Naga, because the Naga will then lose her cooling arrow spells, and you don't want the Death Knight because the Death Knight isn't ranged. So really, getting a third hero without some sort of pass or a skill that affects its attack is very, very important for the undead to use that orb once you're at tier 3. That means this one ghoul does get does get Shadow Struck and will probably go down in time, but actually no, it's only level 1 Shadow Strike, so it probably will live. And a nice creep jack here by Elegant, gonna try and do a lot more damage to this Death Knight, who does have a healing potion if he needs it, and a TP, but hopefully he shouldn't have to use too much. He does use that healing potion, but he is eventually able to chase away this Warden, and did manage to kill a Dryad as well with his Fiends, so very, very nice defense there by Lucifer after having been put in a very, very bad position, and he will be able to get this Overseer kill. He does have his level 2 finally on that Death Knight, and actually he's getting pretty close to level 2 on his Naga. Lich is now coming out for Lucifer, and we do have a second lore going up as well as tier 3 now finished for Elegant, and it looks like a massive creep jack coming in here. These Druid of the Claws actually do have Master form finished, but still it was just too overwhelming there, and looks like we will be having a TP for Elegant, who just wants to choose a better place to fight. He wants a couple Dryads in his army composition as well. He's getting one out now, but I really could use a couple more than that just against those ghouls. It's so useful, and it looks like this Warden comes in, tries to get a creep jack, but actually doesn't manage to, and even that one ghoul is coiled, and it looks like the rejuvenation now being used on this Warden. This one bear does need to go into bear form, and finally does, and actually another one comes in as well, and so Lucifer will be chased away, especially considering he just got out of Lich, so he really needs to wait for that Lich to get into his army composition. This one low ghoul will probably go down if the Warden can manage to chase him down, and she does manage to, and it looks like this Warden now just going to get single hits off on Fiends, just because she has picked up that orb now, and the Elf orb is just so fantastic for doing that, and these bears now going to do a good job of tanking the damage, and meanwhile this Warden has finally hit tier 3, or level 3, sorry, so we'll be able to get a fantastic Shadow Strike, and that's going to be a huge threat to this level 2 Death Knight, although the Death Knight has picked up Rune Bracers, which is a fantastic item against the Warden and Naga combination. Naga actually being left a bit behind, not being brought with the army, and so that might give Lucifer a bit of a reprise, allow him to maybe move a bit further back. These Dryads are being focused down, and so you do need to be very, very careful with your Dryad micro, but just it's so important to be able to do it, to have at least one in your army just to get that poison effect off. This one Dryad will finally go down, but these bears are just such an unstoppable force at this point. 4,000 health between them basically, and barely any damage taken, and if they do take too much damage, they can always just be staff back or run back. I'm not sure if there's any staffs. No, it doesn't look like any staffs, but they can just run back and use rejuvenation, and they're back to fighting form in no time at all. Destroyer form now being finished for Lucifer, who's maybe going to want to turn this low statue into a destroyer if you can get another statue out just for healing, and because obviously then you can coil it, and that tends to be pretty good, but you will need level 3 before he gets that, just so he can actually get a useful coil off. Otherwise you may as well just transform one of your other statues and then be willing to lose one statue very early on in the fight, because it will be focused down pretty handily. The Death Knight now hitting level 3 and then immediately getting out of the fight, and now actually tanking on the Naga, which is interesting. Normally you want to tank on the Lich just because you can then coil that back up, but I guess with the Unholy Aura and with the statues healing, you're not going to take too much damage before the next fight, and so maybe it's worthwhile to do that and just save up for later. And it looks like because obviously that Lich can be focused down a bit easier if the Warden manages to get into the fight. Warden now doing some creeping without the Naga actually, and so this Naga now sitting at home, actually maybe looking to buy an item. I'm not sure whether an item's going to be, maybe it's going to be a staff, that'd certainly be a good item, or maybe it's going to be a TP actually, because we did have that TP being used in expansion now being taken by Elegant, and very nice creeping here actually by Lucifer, really just going between all the really powerful camps. He's even probably powerful enough to maybe move here, especially if he gets a destroyer out. You can definitely take out that other main spawning point, and that could be very, very useful, but it looks like he's not actually going to go there. He's actually going to maybe look a bit more for a fight now. 1-0 upgrades actually for both players at this point, and obviously the attack upgrades and armor upgrades actually affect all of the units of both players really at this point, because it's Bear Dryad for Elegant, maybe with some or no hippogriffs coming in yet, but it's possible that he will be getting some in later, versus Fiends and Destroyers, all of which just have one upgrade between them for attack and armor, and so it looks like we will be having this Dryad running a bit too far forward, but Lucifer unfortunately is currently on cooldown from attacks, so he can't actually get any hits off on that Dryad, and we do have a TP coming in here. This Naga still only at level 1, really, really bad that that's the case, and ooh, so close there. I think the Warden was trying to blink in just so that she could use the mana on that Moonal before it died, but unfortunately that didn't go her way at all, and so now the Warden, I'm not going to be able to do that, but only loses 10 mana from that blink, because the Warden is level 2, and this Death Knight now taking a huge amount of focus. Does have that TP if he needs to use it, but those Rune Bracers, ooh, passed it invuln pot at the last second, very, very nice, and now the focus goes off on that Naga, and the Naga's focused down immediately with a brilliant Coil Nova, so fantastically timed, and now that's just the perils, really, of having a low-level hero against sort of pretty good levels on your on an undead hero combinations, and this Death Knight just being kept to the back, really healing up very quickly with the statues and with the Death Knight, and now actually getting mana siphoned as well by that Warden, although the Warden now needs to get out here. Taking a huge amount of focus, does need to be called again, not enough mana on the Death Knight for a call, so this Lich might go down or might just about be able to survive. This Warden blinks back, unfortunately not forward, because that Warden wanted to heal up, but could have actually got a Shadow Strike off it, I think, and killed that Lich, but we'll have to see. More calls goes off on these Fiends, who have been Frost Armored, so they are taking much reduced damage from those bears, and it looks like the Warden now back in this battle, now going for the Death Knight, who's actually very low as well, but just not being able to do quite enough, and Elegant now in a bad position, does need to run back, does have a lot of drides, but none of those bear tanks that are just so important, and obviously the Fiends do fantastic damage to those drides if you can get them within range, and if you can get them hit by the Lich with the orb as well. That's just so powerful. Now a one Moonwall being attacked just to try and force Elegant out of the base a bit, out of the range of that Ancient Protector, but the Lich now taking a huge amount of damage, goes for the coil, but it looks like it was just a second too late, and so Lucifer loses his Lich, only level 2, but still it's a bad loss to get, and it looks like this Naga isn't even being revived. Oh my god, looks like Elegant maybe is giving up on it, or maybe he's just gonna try and spend his money on other things, although certainly it's not too bad to try and spend your money on other things, and it looks like we will eventually have a TP here for Lucifer, but oh my god, wow, what an intense battle. We do have an Abomination being built, as I say. If you get Disease Cloud, those are just so powerful. Looks like no Disease Cloud quite yet here for the Abomination, but certainly that would be a nice addition here, but with this expansion now up, really the pressure is on Lucifer to actually do some damage to try and keep on pushing or expand himself, but really expanding is so tricky in this matchup for the Undead, and it looks like we will be having this Warden creep to level 5 now. Oh my god, what a close match. As I was saying, I wonder if no, the Naga isn't actually coming back, so a bit of a waste of investment there if we don't get it if we don't get it back at any point, but that is something we have been seeing occasionally from players, is just they'll sort of give up on sort of a third hero or a second low hit point hero if it's just too weak and you think you can spend your money on other better things, because it just could be sort of an experience farm, and it can be quite bad for you if you don't actually manage to do anything. If you don't actually manage to do anything with it. This Warden now buys an Invuln Pot and an Invisibility Potion, so we'll be running around the map. I'm actually going to switch to Elegant point of view, so I can see the Warden on the mini map, and the Lich is now back out, still level 2, but pretty close to level 3 at this point, and 3/3 for Lucifer's other heroes, and actually now pushing into low upkeep as well. This Warden now blinking into the back of Lucifer's base, gonna get at least 2 Acolyte kills here, possibly more. I should be able to get off a couple more Shadow Strikes, and he blinks forward, does manage to get 2 Acolyte kills there, and looks like he's gonna get at least the 3rd there. No Acolytes being rebuilt now. This is very perilous here for Lucifer. He has to keep these going on. It looks like one was actually scouting out this creeping, and that's going to be pretty interesting here to see. Ooh, actually an Acolyte here. Maybe we're going to be seeing an expansion here from Lucifer, and oh my god, this Warden just wreaking so much havoc. Going to take out 2 ghouls as well as those 5 Acolytes. Fantastic harass here by Elegant, really managing to do a huge amount of economy harass after having taken a pretty bad pretty huge amount of damage earlier on, and he does have this expansion up. He finally has 5 wisps on it, so he does have more than double the income, I think, than oh no, he's at 51 food. Oh, that's Lucifer. No, he's at 64 food. Yeah, so he's at about 40% extra income here. Lucifer, I'm not sure why he's at 51 food. He really should give that up. So he's actually at 40% more rather than 100% more. That's a bit careless there by Lucifer. I'm sure he'll rectify it quite quickly though. And luckily we do have this Naga now almost level 4. We'll be getting it from this creeping. This Death Knight is level 4 as well, and Lich is level 3. So very nice. This Warden now moving out. It'll be interesting to see, because I think that Wisp did scout. The Wisp that was down here did probably scout out that Acolyte that was around there, but Lucifer ended up not taking it, and instead just realizing that he needed more Acolytes on his mind. He's finally rebuilt that 5th Acolyte, but after having taken a huge amount of damage. Ooh, this Stride now pulling the creeps, not going to get ensnared by looks of things, despite the fact that the Trapper was Bloodlust, and finally managing to engage there. Those creeps had a bit of a bad time, and looks like, oh, this Tree of Life will now be taken out, and actually it would be risky for Elegant to TP in, because these Destroyers do have mana. Ooh, look at this, even dropping some creep, because he decided not to expand, so he must have just had the Sacrificial Skull. These Wisps being brought in, will they be able to detonate? Yes, they will, and that will get rid of most of the creep, but it looks like Elegant not being too ambitious to take out this last bit, because he knows that these Wisps will eventually be killed. But oh my god, Lucifer being a bit careless there, really taking far too much damage, clearly distracted by the fact that, ooh, we've had a retraining to Fan of Knives. Interesting here. from Elegant, who's now being able just to one-shot all of these acolytes, and yet again that's going to be 5 more acolytes that Lucifer needs to build. And that's going to be a huge expense, especially considering that he's not actually going to have any income for this whole time. That's very, very bad for him. And so both the players losing 1 mine, but unfortunately Lucifer was just on 1 mine. And a Fairy Dragon being built. Interesting play here. Ancient of Wind will be able to produce some hippogriffs as well if he wants to, and those will be good against the destroyers. Actually, they're fantastic against the destroyers if you can actually get them there in time, and looks like that will be the case here though. Frost Armor going off on this lich does need to be called though pretty soon. There goes the call. Not too tricky to get off those calls when you do have those statues up. It's not too much of an expense. Frost Armor on the Naga as well, which is so important. Nice blink, and then Fan of Knives doing a huge amount of damage to those fiends who actually can go down pretty quickly there, and it looks like this Naga now in a lot of trouble. Does use a Forked Lightning, and these abominations do finally have Disease Cloud as well. Naga does get focused down for Lucifer, and who's now actually spending all his time trying to focus down these bears. Meanwhile, a huge number of Dryades in the back with 1/1 upgrades are just doing huge, crazy amounts of damage to the army of Lucifer. And actually, now that the abomination finally makes it to the front there with that abomination, with that Disease Cloud, the Dryades just run back. Fantastic play there by Elegant. Really, really nice surround there on Lucifer's army, and just making him have to choose if he wants to attack the high hit point, high threat bears, or the lesser threat but still pretty nice DPS Dryades that will just be able to run away every time you want to attack them. So really, really a difficult choice there for Lucifer, and he really unfortunately got a bit outplayed there. And looks like we will have this one expansion being cancelled, and yet again another detonate goes off on that Death Knight, who does have a Sobi Mask, so really regenerating mana very quickly anyways. And it looks like we do have a Blink and Fan of Knives trying to do a bit of damage to this Lich, but it just seems like a bit of a waste of mana at this point. Level 6 on that Warden though, so maybe we'll be seeing some more play involving Avatar of Vengeance, which will be very, very useful. Actually, this Lich is taking a huge amount of damage now, but a call can go off eventually, and that's a huge amount of mana being used here for Elegant, compared to a small amount of inexpensive mana for Lucifer. And actually a nice army here, a couple of destroyers and abomination, and then some statues in the back as well. It's a good army. He just needs to bulk it out a bit with a couple more abominations, and he's going for that as well. Maybe building a couple more Fiends would be nice, but he's actually going for a second Slaughterhouse, which is immediately scouted out here by Elegant, who's now going to go for another Fan of Knives and just try and kill off as many acolytes as possible. You will need to blink out of here pretty soon though. Does actually blink away from that Call Nova, does take the damage though, unfortunately, and then uses Hide because there's no shades around. And actually one Hippogriff being brought in as well, but needs to be worried about that. He's taking too much damage on it, and it looks like this Warden will be able to get out of here eventually using that Sapphire Teleportation yet again. Very, very nice play here, and looks like this expansion hasn't been rebuilt, but there is a Wisp here. So that would probably be a good choice for Elegant at this point. Although actually this Tree of Eternity now uprooting because this mine is out, so maybe just walking it there would actually be the better choice here. And looks like we will be having more creeping going off, but there's not too much point to this creeping if the Warden's already level 6 and is so far away from the creeping that she can't even pick up the items. So maybe it's in preparation for future expansions or something. I'm not quite sure. It seems like it isn't. It isn't absolutely necessary, and this Warden now going to move in, going to try and maybe do some more damage to that Lich. That seems to be something that Elegant is particularly fond of, and this Death Knight now going to do some creeping along with the Lich. Has the Naga of Elegant actually been abandoned as well? No, here it is. Yeah, I didn't think it would even die, but I couldn't see it in the army, and it looks like we will be having more creeping going off here. This Naga obviously can't be coiled, so it is a bit under threat, but when you do have that Frost Armor, you tend to be okay. Lich gets back in here yet again. You notice that Lucifer is still mining just because he has had his acolytes killed so many times, and he's getting them killed yet again. And at this point, actually, it almost becomes uneconomic for Lucifer to try and rebuild them if he's not even going to expand yet, if he's not ever going to expand. But we'll probably see him build them just because eventually expanding is useful, and then also he can solve some buildings if he wants to go for one final really strong attack. And meanwhile, we still only have 1/1 upgrades here for Lucifer. Meanwhile, is it still 2-0? Yeah, still 2-0 for Lucifer, and obviously 0-0 on those abominations, which he has sort of recently transitioned into. And these abominations just 1200 hit points, and then also that Disease Cloud is just so powerful against Dryades. So really, you do need to have more bears, and then maybe late game, especially if Lucifer gets some meat items as well, picking up some chimeras are just so super powerful. The Switch actually, or the Warden gets in the battle for a second, but then immediately blinks out, and it doesn't even take an attack. So really nice play there by him, just being constantly Elegant just being constantly aware of what's going on. Invuln Pot being picked up for this Warden, so really you can tell Elegant's worried about the focus, because obviously that the Warden can just blink away whenever she likes, but you do need to be so careful just because that Coil Nova can go off so quickly, and if you're caught in a bad position, or you need to be in a battle for a bit longer than you want to, or you want to get into a good position for a Fan of Knives, you can take a huge amount of damage. And this Warden now, actually, I think level 3 Blink has been skilled, which is interesting because it's going to mean there's no Avatar of Vengeance. And it looks like, ooh, bad position here for Lucifer, but he immediately picks up a Zeppelin. Will he be able to get out of here? He needs to be so wary of these Drides. Looks like the Drides give up on the battle before actually the battle was over, and possibly could have got a statue kill there, but eventually we will have this army get away in the Zeppelin, and no Hippogriffs around, unfortunately, for Elegant, so he can't try and take it down quickly, and one Abomination being rallied there, but it needs to get back away as quickly as possible. This Tree of Life just finishing. This Tree of Life and this Tree of Eternities has already started, and it looks like an Ancient of Wonders being built there as well, just for the great defense of being able to buy healing potions and mana potions when you're under attack. And obviously this is a prime space to be attacked here, because Lucifer's going to imagine there's an expansion here, and it's just taking out the gold mine itself is a good place to try and fight. And so it looks like we will be having this mine finally being mined out here, but yet again this Warden doing a huge amount of damage. The Acolyte's actually being able to outrun the Warden, but can't outrun the Fan of Knives. Looks, ooh, ambitious creeping here, and looks like we will be having eventually these creeps taken out, but obviously only the 3 heroes can actually take out any of these things. And interesting, actually, I wonder, there's an interesting timing that could have gone on there, where I think Elegant could have attacked Lucifer's base, imagining that he would have attacked here, and would have forced Lucifer to TP home while there was still an Abomination within the Red Dragon, because obviously the Red Dragon devours a unit. I think that could have worked. It would have been pretty ambitious and not 100% sure, but I think that would have been a fantastic play there by Elegant if he had done it, but certainly I wasn't smart enough to think about it on the time, and I'm just sort of watching the game. If you're actually playing the game and trying to think of those types of things, that's going to be pretty tricky to do. And so it looks like we will be having, what was the item picked up there? Oh, it was, that's nice actually, Spike Collar and Wand of Illusion. Maybe I spell the Spike Collar, but yeah, you could keep the Wand of Illusion. It's a good choice here. It's good for scouting, and oh, actually one of this is an illusion. Yeah, so we have an illusion Death Knight here, just gonna be seeing what's going on. He does go out this expansion, and it looks like he's immediately going to go to attack it. Oh, maybe not. Maybe he's going to go for this camp, but it's already been crept out. Unfortunately, this Warden now coming in yet again. There's not even any Acolytes to kill, but she just wants to get some ghoul kills here. It's nice trying to just whittle down away Lucifer's army, and it looks like eventually she will be able to blink forward. Obviously, with no Shadow Strike, it's a lot harder to take out, but another blink and then just one normal hit is enough to take that out. And level 7 is fast approaching here for this Warden, who does really want that, just so that she can get the Avatar of Vengeance. You know, is this a Staff of Teleportation or actually TP? No, it's just a Staff of Teleportation coming in for this Warden. No TP actually on the Warden, which is quite interesting, because it means that if the army is ever caught out, it's going to be a bit of a bad position. Anti-magic potion being used by the Warden, though, that's very, very nice. Going to allow the Warden to do a lot of damage without taking too much herself, and that's eventually run out. Meat Wagon now being built. This is a fantastic time for Elegant to build some chimeras if he can, but I think he's just a bit too low on money to be doing that at the moment. Actually, this Meat Wagon getting really caught out, but does eventually manage to get back. Mana flare on both of the fairy dragons, nice there, because obviously the Lich and the Naga and actually the statues are very frequently casting things, so do take a lot of damage. Meat Wagon actually continuing to focus down the Tree of Life, and lots of fake units being immediately dispelled. Actually, nice play there by Elegant. Coil goes off on that Abomination, and it looks like we will be having this Lich taking a lot of damage, but Coil Nova goes off on this Warden. Warden needs to be very, very careful. Does use the Invuln Pot, and now going to run back in, but all the bears being taken out. It's just the Dryades left, apart from one bear. It looks like we'll be having that disease cloud hitting all of these Dryades, and that's just so much damage here. Really, really needs to be so careful. Now it looks like this expansion going to go down here, but the detonates might be able to get off. No, Lucifer being much more careful this time, and only getting his Naga hit, and obviously getting the Naga hit is much less important than getting the Death Knight or the Lich hit. And we do actually have one Acolyte has been transported here. Maybe we're going to be seeing an island expansion. Actually, almost certainly we will be. That's a great move here, because Lucifer is very, very confident that he has air dominance. He has a Zeppelin already, and he does have a couple of destroyers compared to, I think it's only a couple fairy dragons, yeah, and one hippogriff. We do have chimeras on the way, though. Fantastic there for Elegant. As I say, chimeras are so fantastic against this army composition. Do extra damage to statues, do extra damage to Abomination, and do extra damage to Meat Wagons, but obviously can't do anything to destroyers, whereas destroyers can do very, very well against them. So really, you do need to be careful on that one side, and you do need to be careful about the knock as well, because if you get a Chimera cut out of position, and the Naga can just slow it down so much. That's really, really quite a threat. And look at the items on the Naga. We have the Amulet of Spell Shield and the Rune Bracers. Obviously the Naga is the obvious target to be focused down, less than 700 hit points. And so having things like the Amulet of Spell Shield to block things like Phantom Knives, and then the Rune Breakers as well, just is so important to keep it alive for as long as possible, because even this Death Knight is less of a threat of being focused down than the Naga. But immediately going into this battle here, look at this Death Knight actually going to take a bit of focus. This Warden needs to stay back though. He is level 7, so maybe we're going to be seeing some sort of Avatar Vengeance, but really this is a fight Lucifer knows he can't take. He's realized there are Chimeras out, so he does have to choose. Does he want to go for Gargoyles now? Does he want to go for Fiends with Web, or does he just want to try and ignore them and try and beat the rest of the army, and then just use his heroes to take out Chimeras? Because actually that's something that heroes are very, very good at doing if there's not too much other focus. Cold Nova goes off on this Naga, on the Warden. The Warden goes down so quickly there. That Cold came out of nowhere, but now this Lich is very low health, but eventually the cooldown for Cold does finish, and this Naga is, Lich is saved, and now we do have the offensive for Lucifer, who's managed to focus down that hero really. And since there's no other heroes, this is going to be such a good position here for Lucifer. He doesn't need to stay in this battle for too long. He can just hit and run, basically, try and focus down individual units. He's even going to try and take down these Fairy Dragons now, but with plus 12 armor, that's pretty tricky. Eventually, they move out of Mana Flare form, and so eventually they will be chased down, but it looks like they will just be allowed to run away, because they can't be slowed by the Lich. And looks like we'll be having that taverning back of the Warden as soon as possible. That's just so important at this point. And we do have an expansion finally having been taken here, but no Necropolis, so actually he's gonna have to ferry in individual, he's gonna have to ferry in his acolytes. He's doing them one by one at the moment, though I imagine he'll build some more and just rally them here or something. And we do have this chase continuing here. Obviously it's pretty hard to focus down those Dryades because you can't call Nova or slow them or anything, and you can't even hit them with the destroyers, so really not too much to do there. But if you can get to the bears, that's very, very nice, or alternatively you can just try and focus them down slowly over time. And we have had the statues left behind with that one destroyer just to heal it up a bit, and one wisp here, but no expansion being taken. So really it's one mine versus one mine, though actually there's only 2 acolytes now on this mine, and we don't have any more acolytes being rallied here, but I'm sure some are on the way. Yes, at least one more here. But it looks like Lucifer actually struggling to get the cash just to build them. That's I guess why he was doing them one by one. Is just he could only afford to build one originally, and he had to get that mining, but it just takes a long time. So really a bit overspending there by Lucifer, but he's been on so little money for so long. He's built so few units in such a long time, but he's just managed to use his heroes fantastically just to keep them alive. And he does now have those finally 2 acolytes now being built, and the Warden is now back, does have an anti-magic potion, does have an invuln pot, so really is able to do a lot more of this harassment, and it's actually retrained as well to Shadow Strike again. I think that's a good choice in this situation, because it's not like there's a huge number of low hit point units. There's now a couple of heroes which Phantom Knives is much less effective against, especially for hitting the Death Knight, because obviously you could try and hit the Lich, but it can be cold, and the Naga just does still have that Amulet of Spell Shield, so really unless you can find some other spell to hit it with first to put it on cooldown, it's just not really worth it at this point. An expansion is now being taken at this top left position, but really I think actually somehow Elegant doesn't realize that this expansion's been taken. Otherwise Elegant would just blink over, and I think that's one of the risks of having taken this expansion, is that actually this one Zeppelin now ferrying more acolytes to that mine. But it looks like, yeah, as I say, it's quite risky to take that island expansion, because that Warden, if she ever realizes what's going on, can just get there so quickly. Another Shadow Strike goes off on that Naga, and that actually, it's surprising because it means that Amulet Spell Shield must be on cooldown now. So lots of mana being used by this Warden, who can go home and just heal up, obviously, on those Moon Walls, and I think he does have a lot of them, and he does have pretty high Moon Juice on them, but now actually using a staff to get home. And a sapper being brought in and taking that out. Fantastic play there by Lucifer, not even allowing the cancel to go off. Really, really nice play. He even hired that with the destroyer as well, which is obviously so mobile that it means it probably now can get away itself. Really, oh my god, that's such a huge expense here for Elegant, who's bear in mind still only on one mine, so really can't be affording just to build expansion stuff right in central, and he might not even notice that it's gone for a little while as well. And this destroyer being attacked by Fairy Dragons obviously can attack back because they're magic immune, so it does need to just run out of here, but I think he might be chased down unless the Death Knight can get there in time and get a coil off. That looks like it's actually not even his ambition, but maybe we'll have Elegant give up here. Actually, one Hippogriff coming in as well, that's going to be more than enough to get the destroyer. Maybe he's going to try and sacrifice himself to these island creeps, just to try and force more units to be sacrificed to or more of Elegant's units to be sacrificed, but it looks like that isn't his plan for the moment. Ooh, we do have an attack now finally coming here from Lucifer. He's going to try and take down this Tree of Eternity, which is ambitious. If he had level 6 on his Lich, that'd be very, very possible with Death and Decay. And this one Destroyer does finally go down because the Druids do manage to catch up with it as well. And this Tree of Eternity isn't going to go down for a long time, so this is very ambitious here from Lucifer, especially not bringing his the rest, or not having too large an army to actually fight this off with. And bear in mind how large Elegant's army is. He has a huge number of Druids and a couple bears with him at the moment. He never rebuilt those chimeras. Look how slowly those fire dragons take damage. So like even still +7, even once the +7 armor, even once the Lich has attacked. It's a really, really nice play. Coil Nova goes off on that one Baron, Fork Lightning gets that first bear kill. The second bear kill gonna go just as quickly because obviously those destroyers do huge amount of damage, and one of the destroyers does still have mana as well. And Blink finally coming in here for this warden, gets one Shadow Strike here off on the Death Knight, who does have a TP if he needs it. Invuln being used by the warden, and it looks like Avatar Vintage being used as well. This Death Knight needs to be so careful, but maybe gonna try and go for the kill on the Naga yet again. Nice Coil Nova, Fork Lightning goes off, and a TP being passed to the Naga so that she can get out of here, and Lich being focused down at the last second, but doesn't take enough damage to be taken down. And the warden now does need to heal up a lot. Did actually use an anti-magic potion, I think slightly too late, and so didn't manage to do as much, or didn't manage to negate as much damage as probably was hoping to. But still, that focus is just so powerful, and you can see why reviving a level 1 Naga would just be so worthless. Really, after even an earlier point. Ooh, wow, look at this, bringing a Zeppelin and a Shredder, and then just picking off these Acolytes. But nice micro here. Looks like Lucifer's actually hasn't lost any Acolytes here. Really fantastic play here with the Zeppelin, keeping all of them in the air. But unfortunately now the mine can be attacked, so he's going to have to drop them just to repair them. But the destroyers do come in. Maybe could be able to take out the Zeppelin, probably not before the Shredder gets dropped though, but it will be able to chase it away at very least, and then we'll be able to resume mining. Not even going to repair that gold mine, which is interesting. I think he probably should, just in case that sort of thing does happen again, because he probably won't be able to get the Zeppelin kill here, because that Zeppelin is pretty swifty. And actually, one Fairy Dragon coming in here could be able to chase away 2 destroyers, just because of that magic immunity I was talking about before. And ooh, actually these destroyers being really caught out here. The warden actually managing to find them as well. Should be blinking up to just try and yes, there we go with that blink. Gonna be able to just to hit both of them with that poison orb and do a huge amount of damage to them. And these destroyers now might even go down if Lucifer doesn't actually get them to them in time. But looks like the Druids are actually here to intercept the heroes. Really going to be able to slow those heroes down, trying to get to the destroyers. But maybe no. Actually, looks like Elegant not paying enough attention. Doesn't try and slow them down. He could have actually got those destroyer kills very easily if he kept those Druids in the fight. But looks like instead he's just tried to run them home. And looks like we have another attack here. The Shredder being dropped yet again. Oh my god, nice play here, only losing 1 Acolyte, but bear in mind what a huge loss 1 Acolyte is, because it's 20% of all his mining, and he has no Necropolis here, so he can't easily rebuild. He is now finally repairing this haunted gold mine, and looks like this warden yet again taking this battle, using an anti-magic potion, trying to focus down this Lich, but enough mana on that Death Knight for a large number of crawls. The Druids now come in, going to try and focus down the Naga, much better choice. Coil Nova goes off on this warden, does use an invulnerability potion, but will it be enough? Will that Naga eventually be able to be focused down? No level 6 on it quite yet, but a blink goes off and another Shadow Strike goes off on this Naga, but eventually that warden does need to get away. But now all the Druids are focused coming in, another blink comes in, nice TP at the last second there by that Naga, and the warden gets away with 100 hit points left. Very, very nice, and still this harassment goes on, and looks like eventually that Naga did go down to the Shadow Strike, but really, keeping this alive for so long is just so fantastic there for Lucifer. Really, it's costing Elegant a fair bit just to have bought those 2 units, and he is eventually able to chase it away with a Destroyer. So very, very nice play here by Lucifer. Even though he did lose that Naga, he will be able to buy it back because he's not building any units, you'll notice. Yeah, he's just built 1 Abomination, but he's just able to cut unit production, and actually he's at 38 out of 60 food, so he can sell some ziggurats as well if he builds an Acolyte in his base, and which he does need to do anyways, just to transport over to that mine that he has all the way on the bottom left. And the Warden actually comes back in yet again, does get off 1 Shadow Strike, will probably be able to get another one. Actually blinks away a bit too soon, and it looks like that Lich good to try and get 1 attack off, but not even successful in that. And this warden now really just wants to do a bit of harassment, tries to catch up with the school, will manage to, because now she has Shadow Strike again, and it will be able to take that down with just 2 hits and a Shadow Strike. Very, very nice there. But we do have this mine now up and running. Ooh, look at this low shredder is actually just being used to harvest lumber now, actually being repaired a bit first, and a bunch of west being built here for Elegant as well. And by the looks of things, we do still have only 4 acolytes on this gold mine, and yeah, 1 destroyer now actually flying away, realizing that there's probably less of a threat now. There certainly does need to be wary of the fact that 1 shredder could be brought in with this Zeppelin at any time, really, after it's been healed up, especially. And it looks like this 1 warden going to try and do a bit of shopping, but is eventually forced away. Doesn't actually manage to get any items in time. Maybe it's just trying to get away there. It happened to blink just towards the shop, and looks like we will be having these drives now a bit cut out. Maybe we can see some pathing, blocking. No, it doesn't look like that's what Lucifer's going to go for. He's going to try and focus down one of them. You won't quite get it, but it'll do a lot of damage, and you can't really heal up drives on Moon Walls because it's just too inefficient with the Moon Juice. And it looks like the stride actually going to be forced away. And blink, yes, here we go here. This is what I was saying. Just so damage. Ooh, Avatar Vengeance being brought out as well. Very, very nice here for Elegant, who's really going to be able to possibly even take out this gold mine. Unfortunately, he only has 1 Spirit of Vengeance because there's not enough skeletons, and I don't think there's any critters on the island, so he's not going to be able to do anything there. But it looks like we will be having this 1 destroyer, actually, these 2 destroyers actually coming in, doing a bit of damage here, and actually maybe being able to take out down this expansion now that the heroes have been brought in as well. And still no Naga back, bear in mind, for Lucifer, so he isn't able to slow units like he'd like to be. But a Coal Nova goes off there, no Forked Lightning, obviously. So we're in very, very close to level 8 now, but at this point it's not really too important. Ooh, Zeppelin with 3 acolytes in it, being caught out here, and it looks like they are going to be dropped out. Yes, that's very, very unfortunate here. I'm not sure where Lucifer was going, if he was hoping to take another island, or if he was hoping to be really cheeky and take this one. I don't think he could have got away with either, really, at this point. And it looks like we just have this Avatar Vengeance doing so much damage, is going to be able to take out this Haunted Gold Mine, and that might be the end of expansions here for Lucifer, who doesn't have enough money really to be doing too much. It looks like he's actually selling some buildings now. Maybe that means he's going to try and take this expansion here. That would probably be a good choice, but he might just be better off at this point to sell off a couple more buildings, maybe his crypt as well. In one of the slaughterhouses, he's actually selling off the crypt, and then just build maybe 1 more abomination, go for an attack. He's going for 1 attack here, but he's sort of he actually has a pretty good army at this point. Mana on his destroyers as well, which is always very good, especially if you're trying to take out those bears. And it looks like we will be having this warden just blinking back and forth, in and out, and even uses a fan of knives there, which is presumably only level 1 at this point. So that's a pretty interesting choice there. But I guess this warden just has so much mana that she can afford to be using it. And this fairy dragon now using a phase shift just to get out there for a second, and finally taken down though. And now the Dryad's really on the defensive, haven't taken a huge amount of damage. You can see they're all taking damage slowly over time from that disease cloud as well. And we do have rejuvenation now being used on this warden. Warden now blinks away before any focusing can go off, and presumably another Coal Nova on the way here. Coal goes off, but unfortunately blink away in time, and you don't take the damage. Very nice play there by Elegant. And wow, what an amazing game we've had so far. And this warden still maybe could do some more shopping, maybe buy TP at this point, or maybe just some mana. Ooh, actually buying a Moonstone. That's probably a very good choice considering how many Moonwalls there are out around here for Elegant. But meanwhile, the only mine for Elegant actually only has a minute's worth of gold left in it anyways, is going to be taken down fairly soon, unless Elegant actually moves out to save it, and does absolutely need to do this. 2-1 upgrades finally for Elegant, compared to 2-0 still on the Destroyer and 0-0 on the Abominations. So really nice upgrades here, nicer upgrades at least, for Elegant, who really does need to be doing a huge amount of damage here. This 1 Hippogriff going to be taken down before the battle really gets underway. Finally, the Naga going to be able to do a fair bit of damage because she's back in the battle. Is level 6 as well. There's certainly Cyclone at this point, not going to be too useful, even though it could hit the Dryades as well. Coal Nova goes off on that 1 bear and is eventually taken down as it moves into a bear form. And it looks like this Naga taking a huge amount of damage. It does use an invuln pull up though. This Warden's still at full health and is near a shop as well if she needs to buy any healing potions. Does use Blink just to get out of the sort of almost pseudo surround she was in, just taking too much damage there. And it looks like eventually much of Lucifer's army is being rebuffed here, does need to get a better position, and with that Avatar Vengeance you just take so much damage, especially if you have your units slowed by 7 different sources as well. And this Abomination might well go down, does actually go down, it isn't cold in time unfortunately. Death Knight is level 6, and that means that we do have, I'm not sure what level, well I can't actually see in time, and but a high level aura as well, which is very nice here. And it looks like we will be having one more Lich being taken, or one more Dryad being taken down here. Lich has taken a huge amount of focus, is cold though in time, and so it looks like we will be having another Dryad actually being taken down here. Nice micro here by Lucifer, really doing a huge amount of damage to the units, which is really what he needs to be doing at this point in the game. Level 2 on that Unholy Aura, so actually he might have gotten, actually presumably it's Death Pact I suppose. You don't really go for the ultimate, and it looks like this one Avatar of Vengeance is going to be taken down now. Dryad's now reinforcing though. Looks like we have had this mine actually being taken here, but only one Acolyte on it, and we do have this Warden now coming back into the battle. Gonna actually blink away here. It's a bit surprising. Could have got a fork line or a Shadow Strike off on that Lich or on the Naga Sea Witch, but the items are just so fantastic for this Naga that I think it's just too hard to take down this Tri-Hero. Elegant would need to be really lucky, maybe catch one of the heroes out of position or something, and it looks like Lucifer, even though he's sort of basically retired and is in the army at the moment, hasn't really played professionally in a couple of years, is just too solid to fall for any sort of shenanigans like that. Trying to do a bit of damage here to this destroyer, but it is called eventually by a Lucifer. Very, very nice. This one Ancient Protector has actually been up all game and actually has played a large role in just protecting the base from any sort of potential attack, and has really dictated the game, the way in which Lucifer's had to play, where he'd like to probably do some more of taking down of Moonwalls, things like that, and this Warden just unable to engage at this point, and these Liches, these Dryads just having to do hit and runs, but every time they do, the Lich just gets off a couple hits, Naga maybe even gets off a hit herself, and that's just so bad. And meanwhile, Nova goes off here on this Warden. Warden now needs to blink away, and actually, oh my god, Kolf, and Fork Lightning goes off at the same time. Warden goes down, and there's a G from Elegant. So wow, a fantastic game there from both those players. I really hope you enjoyed that game. Really, it's impressive to see how good Lucifer has remained, even with sort of not too much practice. So I hope you enjoyed that game, and I'll try and bring you some more games in the near future. Thanks, folks.